Hi, Alan. Thank you so much for joining us for our tips in 10 minutes. I think most of our audience knows who you are. You're very well known, but thought we could start by you maybe just introducing yourself and maybe talking a little bit about your background and your role at Providence.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me. Alan Shoebridge. I'm the Chief Communication Officer for Providence in Oregon. And Providence is a large healthcare system on the West Coast. And I've actually worked in healthcare, marketing, communications, content development for almost 20 years. I mean, it feels kind of nuts to say 20 years, but it's almost been that long. And I've seen the industry and our profession go through a lot of changes, but I love talking about subjects like this where we can think about the work we do and how we can do it better.
Yeah, and you're certainly a LinkedIn superstar and a national speaker, and a well-networked person. So thank you for taking time out of your day to join us. And what really inspired this conversation was I had read and watched your short video on like the 5 questions to ask to be aligned on like strategic priorities or creative work. And I was just so intrigued by it. I think a lot of them are very simple questions that we all know we need to ask. And one of which I thought was even more intriguing. But if you could just tell her, and then we'll also include it, we'll be sure to include a link here when we post this so that people can go out and watch it themselves. It's very short, it's like 5 to 6 minutes. But if you can kind of paraphrase what's in those 5 questions, I think that'd be a great place to start.
Yeah, you bet. So, a lot of this assumes too that, you're getting project requests or asked to do stuff that is already kind of thought out. So, like this request makes sense, but what's the expectation I need to set with whoever's asking me to do the work or the partner I'm coming up with something on. And so, I always start with, well, when does something need to be done? If someone comes in and say, I have this need, well, you need to clarify, like, when do you actually need it? Because that can get you off track right from the beginning. And then there's a piece of like, how good do you need it to be? Is this something that we want to have a really long shelf life and something that we think is going to win a lot of awards, or do we just need to get it out and get the information out to people? So that's the second question. And then I think you get into some of the things around, well, what action do you want it to drive? What do you want people to do if they see this, or what is their action going to be, and how do we incorporate that into the work? And then, obviously you have to have some parameters on budget. So how much do you want to spend? That's going to dictate a lot of how the project works and how long it's going to take to do. And then the one that I think sometimes gets overlooked, I know I've run into trouble, but it's like, who needs to review or approve this? What are those hidden steps along the way that you might not be aware of? So asking those 5 questions can get your project, I think it's the best way to get your project off to a good start.
Yeah, and I think that who needs to review and how many people need to review, and then negotiating the number of people if needed, because that could open up a whole another can of worms when you've got too many stakeholders involved. But I do want to focus on that one question of how good does this need to be? As we're all, and we talked about this recently, we're all doing more with less, producing more, strapped for resources, but we all want quality work fast. And it's that whole, what is it, the fast, cheap, good ratio that we're always reconciling. You got to pick 2, right?
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit more about that one specifically, like how you've used that in your work, how it's helped you in your work, maybe some examples of that.
Yeah. And I think most of us are never going to turn out a bad project or a bad piece of content, but it really is going to be, I think a lot of it's how much shelf life is this going to have? What type of medium is it running on? Who's going to see it? It's different than, if you're doing a flyer for a clinic and it's going to be only seen by a handful of people a day, that's one thing. If you're going to do a TV spot that's going to be seen by thousands or hundreds of thousands of people, that's a whole nother level. So, you asked for an example, but I'm going to talk about TV spots. Sometimes people will get asked, do a TV spot. And there's a big difference between, doing something where you're hiring talent and writing scripts and taking a professional crew to shoot something. And if you're going to do that, and that's the level people want. I want, let's say we want a TV spot that, could win awards and be fantastic looking. Well, that's going to take you a minimum of 3 months to do, and it's going to require a lot of budget. Now, if you want to promote something that's maybe shorter in duration, or we're using stock photography, or we're going to use our own people, or whatever, well, you might be able to do that in a month or 45 days, but it's probably not going to look as good. It's not going to be as polished. And that's fine if that's what you want, but those expectations have to be understood. So I think, when you get asked to do a project, especially something that might be, very visible like that, it is sitting down and saying, well, how good do you want it to be? Because that's going to dictate both how much time it's going to take and how much budget it's going to require. And if you don't set that parameter, you're probably going to do it, and maybe the end product's not going to meet, the client's need or what you wanted to really do.
Internal.
So yeah, you've got to start there.
Well, what I love about that, and maybe we can like collaborate and design your ideas into some kind of like scorecard, because how good do you need this to be is very subjective. Everybody, like you said, everybody wants it to be good. Well, I want it to be good, and I want it to be good in 24 hours, right? Like, even if you were asked on a 10-point scale, where is good? Is it 9 or is it 10 or is it 8? Like, it's just so hard. And so asking the questions that are a little bit more objective, what's the shelf life? I think that's a really good question around, like, is this a 3-month shelf life or is this a 3-year shelf life? Like, what's the longevity of the piece? Maybe the target, what's kind of the idea around who's going to see it and how are they going to see it and how will they interact with it? And I don't know, you listed a couple other things that you said there that support, I think, not just asking the question, how good does it need to be, but asking those supporting questions to help somebody even answer that,
Yeah.
So you talk about shelf life, audience, what were the other ones?
Yeah, well, I like your idea of the scale too, but I think part is like, how many people are going to see this?
Yeah.
What's, and also if the expectation of someone's like, I really want this project to, win us some awards and make sure our brand perception goes up by 5 points, okay, well, that's, we could do that, but it's going to require a lot of budget versus if, well, I really only want this to drive action for 2 weeks to understand we're having a health fair and we want people to come and, these pieces of content will drive that, but then it's over. And, this isn't going to be an award-winning project. It's just going to be something that we do. So I think that's how you set those expectations. And, again, if you don't do that, people might be expecting the award winning. Then when you deliver something that's not there, they're like, wait a second, this doesn't have the quality. And then, you're not going to be able to necessarily start over and do something from scratch.
Do you find that your team is using this approach with your internal clients? And
yeah, I think, for me, I've always just used this for myself, and then I've shared it with teams throughout time and kind of, I think where I am now on the communications focus, it's a little different than marketing. I think when you're in marketing, you're really dealing with some things that are going to have serious budget implications. Whereas on the communication side, it's more time. So again, if you're asking, how good you want it to be, it may be a time and resource, not so much budget question. But I found these, especially when you're going to be spending money, you've got to set these parameters right here.
Well, and I think it's so hard too for the creatives to be good or to be okay with it not being perfect, or because we have such pride in our work and we want the time to be able to deliver what we believe to be the highest quality, best product or whatever it might be. And so that negotiation around, in this case, it's a 3-month shelf life. Speed is the most important. They just need to get it to market for a health, like I said, a career fair or something. All right, well, we're good with 80%, and that's, I think, for the creative people, like, also a tolerance around being okay with that is,
Well, I like your idea too around the idea of a scale. So, I would say I've rarely done anything that's less than a 7, but the difference of getting to a 7 to an 8 to a 9 to a 10, 7's still pretty good, but each of those increments is going to require more in terms of time, resources or budget. So, we're not going to do something bad. We're not going to put out a really, it's going to be on brand. It's going to, be edited. It's going to, but again, what do we do above and beyond that? That's the question.
Yeah. And we've worked with clients that are like, they'll tell us without even asking, it's like, hey, we're good with 80% because we have so much going on, and it's more around the speed to market and the acceleration of the messaging that's really the most important. So that's where we have to kind of take our deep breath and be, okay, all right, let's get it on it. So
probably for your creative and for people I've worked with, again, a 7 out of 10 for the average person, they're going to see it. That's pretty good. That looks nice.
Right.
But, when we're in the profession, we know that a 10 out of 10 is an award-winning thing that we might put on our resume, our LinkedIn profile, or our highlight reel, whatever. But not every project can do that because we don't have the time. We're limited both in time and resources, right? So we have to be realistic about what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah. Well, I think our 10 minutes are already up. It goes so fast. So, but before we go, I want to ask you a question just really about you personally. So tell us like something fun you've done this summer.
Yeah, I actually took a vacation this summer. Last few years haven't really gone anywhere. So
Yeah.
It was my wife and I's 25th wedding anniversary. So we decided to just take a trip. We did a road trip. We went to Utah and stayed at Sundance Resort, which for a long time was owned by Robert Redford.
I was
So
going
it
to
was
say, did you
cool.
run into him?
No, I didn't see him there, and I didn't drop his name, try to get any special
Yeah.
access or anything. But it was really fun. It just, it was nice to get away, and we did some
Yeah.
hiking and relaxed and read a lot of books, and so yeah, it was fun.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, thank you.
25 years.
I
That's
know.
good. Yeah, that's a good anniversary to celebrate. So,
Yeah,
well, thank you so much for joining me. And like I said, we will link to your content so everyone else can see that. Maybe you and I can create that really cool scorecard, that idea.
yeah.
And if anyone has any questions, we'll be sure to include your contact information in mine and see if we can add any more value or answer any questions.
Great. Well, I hope people find this helpful. I know it's along the way, it saved me from getting in trouble more than once.
No, I love it. Thank you so much. See ya.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.